Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Tamara Lerner. I'm the director of ops at Rootstock Collective. At the collective, we work closely with the community and builders to help grow the Rootstock ecosystem through decentralized governance, grants, and of course, the collective rewards. The goal is basically to support projects that bring real usage, infrastructure, and applications to Bitcoin. So today, we are joined by the team of Blockscout. So many people in the ecosystem already know Blockscout as one of the core tools used to explore transactions, smart contracts, and of course, on chain activity across networks. We have been working closely for quite some time now, but now they have joined Rooster Collective as per January 2026 through a grant to actually build what we will call, or the guys will correct me, the Rooster Global Wallet. And part of that grant has already been completed and unlocked. So today we want to talk about what has been built so far, what's the next kind of like milestones look like, and how this collaboration contributes to the broader Rooster ecosystem. Let's start with the first question. Maybe a quick introduction. Could you guys maybe introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your journey into Web3?
Yeah, I'm Mike from Blockscout. I'm a product manager who's responsible for the global wallet architecture, integration, and distribution among the Rootstock ecosystem. So my journey started with a small project inside the Blockscout. Yeah, then I started to work on multiple different things inside Blockscout, different directions. One of this was the service that we are also applying for the Rootstock ecosystem right now. And yeah, of course, I'm a builder in the mindset and doing a lot of different stuff on a different ecosystem. So yeah, this is briefly about my journey.
And I'm Dosh. I work for the Blockscout team in the BD and growth side of things. Now, I've been involved in Web3 for several years now. I'd say probably close to 7 or 8 years. It's kind of been a blur, but I started in kind of the Degen, DAO, DEX landscape, then kind of moved into blockchains. I used to build on XDAI chain, then it became Gnosis chain, and I started working for the Gnosis chain team. And now I have been with Blockscout for roughly 3 years. I mostly kind of gravitated towards the infra side because I just found all the blockchain infrastructure stuff super interesting. And yeah, in my opinion, I would say all of this stuff that we're building, and it might not seem like something huge because we're always in our own little small bubble. But, if you look at it kind of on an outside perspective, we're almost reinventing the financial system, which hasn't changed in hundreds of years. And this technology is the future. So I'm really glad to be a part of it.
100%. It's crazy. I also joined the crypto kind of word 7, 8 years ago. I'm originally from Argentina, and I used to say this technology is the future, but I think we can proudly say that it's actually already embedded in the present, right? We have seen so many changes in 7 years into what we know as a financial system. And coming from Argentina, everything that has to do with digital and transactions in anything that is not the local currency has changed millions of lives. So, it's great that we're all here discussing about grants, new applications on how to continue changing, making this whole ecosystem a bit more accessible for everyone. So, chaining that to the next question, for those who may not be familiar, what is Blockscout and what role does it play in a blockchain ecosystem?
Yeah, so for someone that hasn't been on the blockchain before, the simplest and easiest way I want to explain it is if you think about a blockchain being kind of like the internet, in order to find what's on the internet, you go to Google and kind of search your stuff up and see, oh, okay, this is where I can go to see Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Similar idea applies to what Blockscout is. So if you consider the blockchain is a network like the internet, Blockscout gives the ability to search and see what's happening on that network, similar to what Google does. So that's kind of the high level overview. Now, if you have been around and you've kind of clicked on Explorers before, you can think about it more so as a way that we give the insights onto actually what's happening on the blockchain without having to have the technical knowledge to query nodes and have all these different things that probably don't make a lot of sense to most people, right? So what we do is fully index data, and then anything that happens on that blockchain, specifically Rootstock, if I want to send some RBTC to Tamara and Tamara says, hey, I didn't receive it, I can send her a link to that specific transaction showing her wallet, my wallet, and then seeing that the balance changed. That way, tomorrow I can't say, hey, you still owe me that, BTC that you never sent. So that's kind of what the Explorer does. It gives that full visibility into the network. And that's the main thing. And of course, for those developers and people that, have been in the space and are building directly, on Rootstock, you can check out all the stuff that we built for tooling, but like contract verification, token analytics, APIs, all that kind of stuff is available right through Blockscout.
Amazing. Thank you for putting it so simply, right? Like the whole like Googling and simplicity of Blockscout is very, very interesting. So just as an extra question here, what does like Blockscout bring specifically to Rootstock, the Rootstock ecosystem? Like how does it enhance what you just mentioned, but in the Rootstock ecosystem? I don't know if maybe you want to share a specific spec that does it on the Explorer.
Yeah, actually, so the one thing that, when we first started working with the Rootstock team and the ecosystem was it was one of the first like BTC layers, right? Like somewhere where you can actually use Bitcoin to transact and do all the smart contract stuff and be able to actually use that quote unquote EVM technology on a chain that actually doesn't have that capability, which is like really cool, right? And we've seen other chains spin up, later on, but Rootstock has been there probably from the start and has been probably one of the most innovative chains on like utilizing Bitcoin, which is like the coolest part, I would say. Bitcoin being the first mover, being around since 2010 or so. It's really cool to see that ability for people that are stuck in I only do Bitcoin stuff, the Bitcoin maxis, and they kind of stick that on that, train of thought. Well, that ecosystem now is expanded, right? And Rootstock gives that ability to utilize all the tooling. And, with Blockscout, you have that ability to build smart contracts, to do different things that the Bitcoin layer actually doesn't give you that ability to do.
Amazing. And as you're saying, right, like it's so important to provide these tools to builders that actually believe not just, well, not crypto, right? Like I'm saying like mainly Bitcoin as not just store of value, but actually a use case, right? So for those who maybe do not know Blockscout, do you think we could maybe like do a small technical dive, kind of like see a bit of Blockscout, how it differentiates from other explorers and some features there?
I can share like my screen and quickly show what is the like Rootstock Explorer and what kind of features we have there. So basically, this is the Rootstock Explorer. As Dosh already mentioned, this is like the entrance point for the Rootstock ecosystem when everyone can check particular operations that happened on the ecosystem and find another like any different information on the Rootstock as well. For example, about the particular address. We can, for example, take a look at the particular like, operation with I don't know. Let's just check like USDT. So, for example, this is the how the transaction details page could look like when someone sending tokens to another, like one person to another person. In this particular case, we are showing that this address used the smart contract to interact with Uniswap protocol on Rootstock ecosystem and supply their 679 USDT using Uniswap contract. So this is just one of the example how it would look like, but there could be many different use cases when one address, like for example, this one sent the same amount of USDT to another person, or call interaction with any other contracts on the Rootstock blockchain as well. So in addition to this kind of information, anyone can also check what kind of assets is available on the ecosystem by checking the tokens page. So for example, this one is showing the top assets on the chain, and other information relates to a particular token. And of course, like everyone can just click on it, on this token, and get more information about like the numbers of holders for this token, transfers, and some other development information, for example, contract information, check like all these details. And also a user can, like developer in this case, can interact with this contract by calling different methods of the smart contracts. So I can say that Rootstock Explorer is it's like solving at the same time two different problems, giving regular users the way to explore the ecosystem, verify all the operations that are happening on the ecosystem. And at the same time, all developers on the ecosystem can also check technical information regarding which kind of smart contracts is there, how to interact with them, and many other information. So I think this is two main points. And also one of the last things that I want to highlight regarding the Rootstock Explorer here is the Blockscout. So basically, this is the functionality that we brought to different ecosystems, including Rootstock. And the idea is also focus on the retail users who are not deep into crypto and they want to start their journey. So in this case, we are combining two parts, like the essential dApps, when a user can start interacting with a trusted apps based, powered by Blockscout, and do super basic operations on the Rootstock ecosystem. And at the same time, we also giving him the ability to explore other dApps on the ecosystem, so he can get information about the rating of the particular dApp to understand if anyone trusted it or not, and get more information about the particular dApp to get social links, to get the official links to the website and the app itself. So it's pretty much the onboarding page for new users on the ecosystem.
Amazing. I think, I didn't know about the dApps part, which is really cool. I think eventually we can discuss about integrating some of the apps that our builders are building already from our grants. And for example, we have a lending product that is coming soon as well from one of our builders in Argentina, some wallets as well. This is so cool. This is all open source, correct? We're always keeping it open.
Yeah.
Very, very important, right? So how important is community contribution, builders, however you want to call it, in your roadmap or the development process? How can, in simple terms, right? How can developers get involved?
Yeah, so I can just add here a bit. So basically, as you mentioned, the project itself is open source. So it means that the main code, core code of the indexer and the front-end side, what I showed previously, it's open source and anyone can understand how they can improve a particular part of the product. And or they can also take a look at the existing issues that we have on our repository. So this is the most straightforward way how they can help to develop the product, how they can also help to develop the Rootstock Explorer in this case as well. So just go to GitHub, Blockscout repos, and find whatever you can contribute there. So we will be glad to help you, any builders who want to participate in this.
I want to add a little tad bit about open source and how big of a difference it makes in general in crypto. So as we mentioned before, verifying smart contracts and being able to view what's actually happening is a very key thing, right? And that's how a lot of the users know that when they interact with a DeFi protocol or a protocol in general that has smart contracts is essentially not going to steal their money, right? And that also translates into block explorers as well. So one of the main reasons why Blockscout is open source is one, you can actually go and verify the code. So you actually don't need to trust Blockscout to say, hey, the Blockscout the Blockscout team built this product and we can see everything that's happening on the network. Okay, well, if you compare this to other explorers such as Etherscan, you can't actually go in and verify their code because it's all closed source. So whatever they show is essentially whatever their team thinks is correct, right? In our case, you can actually go in, look at the code. Okay, this is what it's saying. You can actually go and spin up your own Explorer and then cross-reference that data directly with what we are showing as a software, which, when you say code is law and most of the biggest ecosystems are relying on closed source products, it's a pretty big issue, right? So yeah, open source is I would say the number one thing that people should look for, and it's always overlooked in crypto, right? People just trust and do whatever, and then they go and tag Zach XBT because all their money got stolen, right? So yeah, there's all these tools already available, and people don't seem to actually go through the steps and protect themselves.
Yeah, I think you learn to love open source probably 2 times in your life. One, when you actually start, for example, in this case, understanding code and you can actually learn the basis of a big project via something that is open and provided to you, just like a book in a library, which for me, I think it's so important. When you go to college and you learn whatever career, you learn, for example, finance, and then you go to a bank and it's like, okay, you've read the book, but you have no idea how the structure works because it's all closed. Like you have no idea how the actual system works. Maybe if you get in and you actually get a manager position, you get into the actual look of how the security works. But in crypto, the open source projects are so beautiful because you can start whenever you want in your life to take a look at this, understand from zero, check the other open source like libraries that help you understand that, and literally grab a whole project and get an insight of how it actually works. I think it's part of what makes it so beautiful. The second time you actually use it as when you need to fork something out of it. It's like, yes, I'm bringing this to my repo.
Totally. And we've seen that happen with a lot of blockchains, right? So Blockscout supports over 3,000 chains out there. And people do exactly that. They take the repo, they spin up their own blockchain, and then boom, they have an explorer. They don't need to go to, say, Etherscan and pay them, $1 million to have, a tool that should essentially be free, right? Like this is something that, everyone should have the access to build these things. All of the Ethereum and Bitcoin stuff has been open sourced, right? So everyone can take the code, build whatever they want. And that's kind of what we've seen over the course of, 10, 15 years. And this is kind of where we are today, right? So this is all has happened because of open source, which is 100%. Really interesting. And downside is that no one actually appreciates it. That's a whole other topic I don't want to get to.
Yeah. It's part of the hard work. Eh? Everyone loves to use it, but there is no thank you note behind it. Okay, so to jump on the next question, how do you see the collaboration between Blockscout and RootstockCollective evolving? That meaning, of course, for the builders, the DAO participants, the people who back the builders, just the ecosystem contributors.
Yeah, so, apart from the Explorer side, we've been working with the Rootstock team for quite a long time, but now with the collective, we've just noticed that, Rootstock is not some kind of chain that, spins up and then within a year they can't afford anything and then they spin down. You guys have been around for such a long time. You have a massive presence in, South America where, these things actually matter. Like chains like Rootstock actually matter for day-to-day things. And you guys can actually utilize it in your day-to-day. When we went down to the conference in Argentina where I actually met Tamara in person, I actually saw it in person. People were taking out their phones, open up the Peanut app, and you go and pay for a coffee. And I was just blown away because you can't do that. And I'm from Canada, backwards if you do that here. Here you got to go to the Bitcoin ATM and scan some sketchy QR code and make sure no one robs you, and then pull out some cash. Or it's not as simple as how advanced the integration with crypto has become. And all the banks are accepting it. I think Mercado Pago is the name.
Yes, correct.
I was completely blown away about these things, and it just made me realize that with such things that are so easily accessible and easy, crypto onboarding is actually not, right? And that's where the whole Rootstock global wallet kind of came into play, right? So we realized that as Mike said, the Explorer is the entrance to the blockchain, but okay, I go there, I look at the apps, I want to use it. Okay, now what, right? I can't really do a lot of things because I don't know how to do a wallet. I don't know what this 24 phrase thing is. I have no idea, right? So we want to simplify that process. We want to actually make it so optimized that, if I meet an Argentinian and say, hey, do you have any Bitcoin? And they're like, what's Bitcoin? Right? Which I think a lot of people know about Bitcoin, but let's just be theoretical here. And I want to say, hey, there's a way that you can take your Argentinian peso and buy Bitcoin with 3 clicks. Well, you can't do that right now, right? You have to go to a wallet, right? Spin up, add the plugin to MetaMask or download it on your phone. And then from there, you got to store the phrase or else you can't use the wallet. And then from there, if you lose the phrase, then all these bad things happen, right? So we want to eliminate that. And that was the whole idea, right? So I want to be able to go to someone and be like, hey, you can take Bitcoin, you can take your money, put it into Bitcoin, and then stake it directly on Rootstock with 5 clicks. Okay, how do you do that? Okay, go into this application, hit sign up, log in with your Gmail, which everyone has. We have the ramp integrated already on the Rootstock Global Wallet, so you can send the money directly in. You get RBTC right away, and then you stake it, and that was it. Like there's not a whole lot. And so we want to eliminate that whole process of things and just make it super unified and easy for the day-to-day person to start participating in the ecosystems.
Nice. Love it. That was very clear. Thank you. And I think, as you were saying, right, like adding tools that help people skip the harder, like I think we've been in the ecosystem for quite some time, and we have learned with time things that work, things that didn't, the friction points as users, as partners maybe of other companies. We have some experience there. So the development of the accessibility of these tools, even for the most basic steps, because a lot of people go to the most complex solutions for the most complex products. It's like the friction is not happening there. It's not about the niche product. It's about the most basic step, which is, for example, the very beginning. So I agree fully that this is always a needed development for any country and for many coins out there. Sorry, Mike, I don't know if you wanted to add something to this question here.
Yeah, no, I agree like fully with Dosh. Like we are just trying to create a super simple onboarding and at the same time user-friendly. So just the regular users who are not knowing anything about the crypto, he will have the same user experience as he is doing like with Google or any other apps. He just needs to create the account and start using this account. That's all. No gas,
Okay.
no other complexity of crypto. Yeah.
So the steps would be, can you tell me like on 3 steps, how would I use ideally the new wallet?
Maybe we can show it.
Yes,
let's go.
I can. So basically, this is the Rootstock Global Wallet page. I already log into my account, but basically, like when you open this page first time, there will be multiple different options for users who are already in crypto on the Rootstock system and for people who are just new and don't know like anything about the crypto. So you can sign up and create this account using your Gmail, for example, or just a passkeys with the one button, safe on the Chrome, for example. Or if you already have some wallet on the Rootstock ecosystem, you can use the same wallet and just to create this global wallet account. So right after you will create it, just imagine that you're just a new user in the crypto, you don't know anything. You just created your first account and here it is. Like you create the account using Gmail. Right after this, you need to have money here. In this case, we integrated the ramp solution when you can deposit fiat, Argentinian peso in this case, directly to this wallet. So when you click on a ramp, deposit fiat, you will see the on-ramp widget where you can already get the amount that you will pay in Argentinian peso and how much you will get in RBTC. And right after this, you can just start the process and deposit all this money like in RBTC directly to your account. It will be just like a couple of clicks, but
amazing. And just to imagine again, like I don't know anything about crypto. I'm using this for the first time. Okay, I have bought maybe some Bitcoin. Where can I use this wallet? Where can I connect it? Like how do you interact with it?
Yeah, so this is exactly like what we are doing on the milestone 2, like of the whole proposal that we proposed like on the forum for the RootstockCollective. We are working with multiple dApps on the Rootstock ecosystem where you can just use the same account on different dApps for different use cases. So just imagine you want to get like, 5% or 10% saving rates for RBTC. You can just use the same wallet with your RBTC balance. You can on one button on this app to connect this account, and then you can click one more app just to get this 5% APY for your RBTC, and that's all. So this is the idea how it will work, and like we already implemented this first part, and right now we are working on the second part when a user just needs to make a couple of clicks to get all benefits of the crypto and DeFi without any deep knowledge of the crypto itself.
Amazing. That's very, very transparent and very easy. I'm looking forward to see the progress on milestone 2 and what the community feels about this, but so far so good. So now that you are officially grantees and builders for the collective, thinking about all the developers out there that will be watching this video, what should they prioritize when launching on Rootstock, and any common mistakes or best practices that you have observed?
Yeah, sure. Lots to go off of there. Yeah, first off, I would say reply to my DMs. I'm not a scammer. I swear. For the current builders, for the non-current builders or the people that are just getting onboarded, I would say the first thing is figure out your UX onboarding flow, right? Like first thing you should be integrating is the Rootstock global wallet, making it simple for users to come in and utilize, whatever you're building. And let's not forget gasless, right? Whoever comes into your app doesn't necessarily need to have all those complexities of, oh, I need to have this RBTC token in order to actually perform a transaction to, say, utilize Riff or something like that, right? And then when it comes to the deeper part is, make sure your contracts are verified. You don't necessarily need to have your front end ready, right? Like Mike showed how to interact with a smart contract. You can actually do all your testing directly on Blockscout, and go through all the steps on, is your contract working? Can you upgrade your contract? Can you withdraw from the contract? How does it work? Is there any exploits? Test those things directly on the Explorer. You don't need to work on your front end. So smart contracts first, and then you can figure out, how and everything's going to look and how it's going to work. And then, of course, I don't want to kind of underplay this, but we have APIs, right? Like you don't have to go and search and find ways that, you want to show a transaction or show someone's account directly in your app. We have lots of APIs. We have a brand new API service, by the way, that I will talk about a little bit later, but we have production ready APIs that reach up to 50 RPS. And I think if we reached up to 50 RPS on the global on the Rootstock ecosystem, I think the whole Rootstock ecosystem is going to be very stoked. So yeah, let us know if you need that access, but we're happy to grant such access to whatever app you're building. And of course,
amazing.
Yeah. Any kind of EVM technology is applicable on Rootstock. So, if you see something cool and you want to tap into that Bitcoin ecosystem, Rootstock is the place to do it. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, I'll just add, a quick from my side. So I also think that the high priority should be in the user experience. It relates to any ecosystem, including Rootstock. So if you're developing anything, starting with the infrastructure, if you're doing services, dApp, you need to focus on the great user experience and try to make it as similar as possible to Web2 experience. When you don't need to know about any complexity like gas, what is the priority gas, what you need to do to send a transaction and all these things. You just have you just need to have the super basic experience when you click on one button to send transaction to another person, or you need to click another button just to get 10% API for your money. That's all. I think this should be on all minds of all developers who are doing dApps on Rootstock or any other EVM chains, and non-EVM chains, of course.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Whenever I have a new development or something to test, I always give it either to my mom or my brothers who are somewhere around 40 to 50. And then I know if my UX is good or not. But just a quick question here, because not all of the users know, but is Blockscout also available on mobile? Can I use, for example, is the idea to have the global wallet as well available to other dApps on mobile settings? How does that work?
Yeah, so basically, Blockscout itself and Rootstock Global Wallet are both available on mobile as well, on any device, because it's just a web app. It means that it's available everywhere where you can open the browser itself, and that's all. So if you are more suitable to interact with the phone number, or you're just on the street and want to send some money to another person, you can open the same page. You can just add this address, this user to your contacts, and send this money in just a couple of clicks. The same for the blocks for the Explorer, Rootstock Explorer. You can also open it on a mobile device. You can find the same user on the blockchain and check if this transaction has happened, if a user received his money or not.
Perfect. That's very clear.
I wanted to say the only limitation is the actual apps that integrate Global Wallet, right? So if you're not mobile friendly, then you potentially risk losing that audience that won't be able to access your app directly, right? So the Global Wallet does have its own separate interface, like Mike just showed, but the idea about this whole thing is to be completely easy and uniform with your current app. So if you've been to the Rootstock ecosystem and you've used your apps, the Global Wallet will just be a selection on there, and you click on it and you automatically connect. just like any other wallet. So the idea is to make it super straightforward and easy for one, developers to integrate, and two, for users to utilize as well.
Perfect. Very clear. Okay, guys, we have one or two questions to finish this amazing AMA. Thank you again for coming today. So the next question is, what's next? What's on the roadmap for Blockscout in the coming months? Is there maybe any exciting upgrades or integrations? I think there were some comments about some APIs here and there, so maybe it's time to mention those.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been doing a lot of different things with essentially our current product and trying to expand the functionality. And the one thing that we've had a ton of requests for is actual production ready APIs. And we've always had I think 5 RPS, which is the request that you can make, so 5 concurrent requests per second on your app. So if you do have an app that's like getting a ton of traffic, you can't necessarily use our APIs. But more recently, as of yesterday, we publicly launched the Pro API. So you can actually go in and spin up an API key, and it's a cross-chain key too. So if you're trying to build a bridge to go from Ethereum to the Rootstock ecosystem, you can use the same API, right? And you have like full production ready up to 50 RPS is I think the highest tier with like 500 million calls or something like that. And if you want something that's even more so, just contact us and we can make it happen. But this is something that has been talked about for years, and we actually finally executed on it. And yeah, it's live and ready, and you can go use it right away. And I think you can find that at dev.blockscout.com, and it'll give you all the information there. And then Rootstock is on the chain selection. You just click on the Rootstock and away you go. You're ready to build. And then there's a lot of other things that we've been doing with AI. One of the coolest ones I would say is the MCP that we have. So if you're building some kind of AI app or AI infrastructure, we've actually implemented an MCP that you can essentially use the MCP to talk to the Rootstock. So if you have some kind of AI agent or OpenClaw running, and you want to utilize the Rootstock chain, you can do that right away. It's like super simple to do, and you essentially just plug in the MCP, and your AI can read the blockchain without having to parse hundreds of lines of data from like an RPC call, for example. So it's super useful and very token friendly, I would say.
In the finance department, whenever someone says AI, I think about token use and one day getting an invoice of okay. But listen, that's great. We'll leave the resources later for the builders to actually access this. This is very cool, and I think it's great to have more resources added for all the builders that are coming and the ones that are already here, to see what are the possibilities to interact all together as collective builders. Anything else that we want to share in terms of updates or integrations?
Yeah, there's this is kind of more broad, but if Rootstock ever decides to build an L2 on top of the current chain, we can do that super easily. So if the Rootstock team wants to make their chain even faster, or has some kind of use case for a layer 2, we have a tool called Auto Scout, and it's really great for these kind of things. So you can just plug it in RPC, and in about 5 to 10 minutes you get a fresh brand new block explorer, and you can start essentially utilizing the chain. So just a thought out there. I don't know if there's plans for a layer 2 on top of Rootstock, but it is possible. So, and we make it super simple.
I cannot confirm, neither deny. Amazing. Okay, guys. Well, we are closing now. Once again, thank you so much for your time, the transparency, the amazing content. Just a last thing, where can people follow you, contribute, stay updated, some resources?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, Tamara, you said you're going to add the links later, but
yes.
Our main, if you're a developer and you're interested in what we do, our GitHub, like Mike mentioned, is the best place. And of course, our social channels. I would say Twitter is the most up to date, where we send all the updates, and then Discord, of course. If you have any questions about our APIs or anything like that, drop a line in Discord, and we'll try to help you there. And yeah, if you want to contribute to Blockscout, you're more than welcome to open up some PRs and try to get your code pushed in there. And, I just want to say thank you for the Rootstock Collective. We really appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to do this whole global wallet thing. We really see it being kind of the next step to make, Rootstock the place where all the Bitcoin builders go and start utilizing things because they see that there's a lot of value to be made on Rootstock, and we want to thank you guys. We're really excited for this.
Same, the community as well. Maybe just a last message for the community, the builders, the people who backed you.
Don't over complicate the product that you're building. And that's all.
That would be for the developers for sure. Okay, amazing, guys. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. And yeah, see you maybe in our next AMA when milestone 2 is done, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation.
Amazing. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much, Tamara. Bye-bye.